Welcome to our GEO Guide Part 6, Practical GEO Checklist. Like, imagine pouring $50,000 into a beautiful website redesign for your business, right? But then you realize you accidentally coded a single, invisible line of text that legally forbids AI systems, like ChatGPT or Google's AI overviews, from ever mentioning your company.
Oh, man. Yeah, that happens.
It's crazy,
Yeah.
because in the era of Generative Engine Optimization, or GEO, a tiny technical oversight doesn't just lower your rank, it literally erases you from the bot's memory completely.
Exactly. And, that is the terrifying reality for a lot of businesses right now. They are treating AI search like it is just traditional SEO with a fresh coat of paint.
Right.
But the underlying mechanics of how these systems read the internet have fundamentally changed.
Right. And to help us navigate this, we are relying on a fantastic, highly actionable essay by Jörg-Owe. Our mission today is to walk you through Schnephat's practical four-pillar framework. Because whether you run a local agency or an e-commerce empire or a massive corporate blog, the goal here is to actually audit and upgrade your website for the AI search era without breaking everything else in the process.
Absolutely.
So, okay, let's unpack this. Where do we even begin? Because if you're telling me I have to rewrite and recode thousands of pages on my site today, I'm just gonna, close my laptop and walk away.
Right, and you should. Trying to boil the ocean is a recipe for paralysis. Jörg-Owe very first rule is incredibly pragmatic. You do not rebuild your whole site at once.
Thank God.
Yeah, you prioritize the heavy hitters. You look at your homepage, your top-performing service pages, your highest-converting product pages, and your high-traffic logs.
Start where the actual monetary or brand value is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Schnephat suggests reviewing each of these high-priority pages through 4 specific lenses: technical readiness, content readiness, trust readiness, and citation readiness.
So we start with technical readiness, and on a surface level, that makes total sense. Like, if the bot can't reach the page basically doesn't exist. It's like writing a brilliant book, but printing it in invisible ink, right?
Yeah.
Or locking it in a safe.
The perfect way to look at it.
But I have to push back a little here. When I look at Schnephat's checklist for this section, checking 200 status codes, looking at XML sitemaps, verifying there are no broken internal links. Isn't this just basic, old-school technical SEO? Like, are we really pretending this is some revolutionary AI strategy?
It's a fair question, it really is. But what's fascinating here is that while it overlaps with old SEO, Schnephat emphasizes technical readiness specifically for generative extraction.
Generative extraction, okay.
Right. Traditional SEO technicals were about getting a search engine crawler to rank a link on a list. But under the hood, these new AI systems use a process called RJAG, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. So when a bot visits your page, it isn't just looking for keywords to file away in an index.
What is it doing then?
It is trying to literally slice your page's text into mathematical vector chunks. Its language model digests those chunks, synthesizes them, and spits back out a spoken or written answer.
Wow.
And Schnephat emphasizes that if your technical setup disrupts that chunking process, you fail the GEO test entirely.
Okay, I want to make sure I completely understand this. What kind of technical barriers are actually stopping that chunking process?
Well, let's start with the absolute basics of crawlability. We throw around terms like robots.txt and canonical tags, but let's break them down. Think of your robots.txt file as basically the bouncer at the front door of your website.
Right, checking IDs.
Exactly. It literally tells automated bots where they are and aren't allowed to go. If that file is misconfigured to block AI crawlers, you're out. And then you have the 200 status code, which is just server speak for, yes, this page loaded successfully.
As opposed to a 404 error where the page is just missing.
Yes.
So the bouncer lets you in and the room actually exists. What about canonical tags? Because Schnephat mentions them specifically, especially for online shops.
Right. So a canonical tag is the digital equivalent of saying, hey, out of all these copies, this one is the master document. Imagine you run a clothing store. You have a product page for a winter coat.
Okay.
But because users can filter by color or size or sort by price, your website software might dynamically generate 20 different URLs for that exact same coat.
Ah, so the URL gets all those messy parameters tacked onto the end of it.
Yeah.
Like $color equals blue.
Exactly. And without a canonical tag telling the search engine which version is the primary one, the REA system gets totally confused. It might scrape 5 slightly different versions of the same page.
Which dilutes those vector chunks you mentioned.
Right. And it ultimately decides your site is too messy to use as a definitive source for an AI answer.
That makes perfect sense. Now, Schnephat also brings up formats. He is militant about avoiding PDFs and images for core information. He says main explanations and product details must be in readable HTML. But wait, aren't modern AI models multimodal? Like, ChatGPT can look at an image or read a PDF now, right?
They absolutely can, but we have to think about processing cost and reliability.
Oh, like how hard the computer has to work.
Exactly. Yes, an AI can use optical character recognition to read text locked inside a JPEG graphic or parse through a heavy PDF brochure, but doing so requires significantly more computational power than just reading clean HTML text.
Got it.
When an AI search engine is trying to generate an answer in milliseconds, it will almost always favor the path of least resistance.
Right.
So if your competitor has their product specifications in a clean HTML table and yours are buried on page 4 of a downloadable PDF, the system is going to extract your competitor's data every single time.
Wow. So if it's important, put it in the text. But here's the technical barrier that really blew my mind. Schneepat talks about something that website owners have been doing intentionally for years that is now completely ruining their chances in AI search.
Oh, you mean snippet permissions?
Yes. This is crazy to me.
Yeah, this is perhaps the biggest technical trap in GEO right now. For years, webmasters have used meta tags in their code like no snippet or max snippet, or even inline tags like data no snippet.
Right, because the logic there was to force the user to actually click the link and visit the website to read the answer, rather than just letting Google show the answer on the results page. I mean, we wanted the traffic.
Precisely. It was a defense mechanism against search engines stealing traffic. But Schneepat warns that if you use those restrictive tags today, you are actively forbidding AI systems from extracting your content.
Because of how the large language models work.
Exactly. Think about it. They rely on pulling snippets of information to assemble a customized answer. If your code tells the machine, you are legally not allowed to use snippets of my text, it literally cannot use you as a source.
So you are voluntarily erasing yourself from the AI's memory. That is wild. Okay, so to summarize technical readiness, the bouncer has to let the bot in. You have to clearly point to the master copy of your pages. Your most valuable info must be in raw HTML, and you must explicitly give the machines permission to quote you.
Spot on. And once you clear those hurdles, we move to Schneepat's second pillar, which is content readiness.
Okay.
Technical readiness gets you in the door, but content readiness determines if the bot can actually make sense of what it's reading.
Right, so the door is open, the text is extracted. But I want to pause here and look at this from a marketer's perspective, because Schneepat's advice seems to contradict everything we've been taught. Well, he advocates for the bottom line upfront approach. He says you must answer the main question directly and immediately at the top of the page. But wait, if I run a roofing company and someone searches roof repair costs and I give them the exact price in the very first sentence, won't they just read it and immediately leave the page?
The bounce rate fear.
Yes. Won't my bounce rate skyrocket? I mean, we've spent decades burying the answer under long, poetic introductions, specifically to keep people on the site longer.
You've hit on the exact friction point between old SEO and new GEO. You are completely right that traditional marketers optimize for time on page.
Right.
But Schneepat argues that generative engines do not care about your time on page metrics. They care about extraction efficiency. If an AI model is trying to answer a user's prompt about roof repair and it lands on your site, it doesn't want to parse through 5 paragraphs of poetic storytelling about the history of asphalt shingles.
It just wants the data.
Exactly. It wants the data.
Right.
If it has to hunt for the answer, it assumes your page is low quality or irrelevant, and it just moves on.
So by trying to game a human metric, we're actively confusing the machine.
Precisely. Schneepat's blueprint demands a short, highly accurate summary at the very top of every single high-value page. This summary must include the main answer, the key context, and then a compelling reason for the human user to keep reading.
Yeah, he gives a great example of comparing web hosting providers. Like, if you were writing a guide on that, you don't start with, since the dawn of the internet, websites have needed servers.
Right, skip the fluff.
You start with a summary stating that when comparing hosting, the primary factors are performance, support, security, scalability, and pricing based on the specific type of website being built. Boom. The AI has its synthesized overview, and the human knows exactly what they're about to read.
And that leads directly to structure. Once you provide that summary, the rest of the page has to be fiercely logical and scannable. Schneepat points out that headings shouldn't just be decorative formatting, they need to map out the logic of the page.
So instead of a vague heading that just says pricing factors.
Right. Instead, you need to ask the specific question, like, What factors influence website redesign costs?
Oh, making it an actual question.
Yeah.
Because the AI uses those headings to categorize those vector chunks we talked about earlier.
Exactly. It uses headings as an index for the short paragraphs and tables below them.
Okay, but what if I'm writing about something highly complex, like enterprise software architecture or advanced finance? How do I make sure the AI doesn't misunderstand my industry jargon?
Schnepphat has a specific safeguard for that: mandatory definitions.
Oh, right.
He argues that definitions ground the content. If you are writing a page about generative engine optimization, you must clearly define what GEO is and explicitly differentiate it from SEO before you dive into the deep analysis. It removes ambiguity for the AI.
And he pairs those definitions with examples, right? Because otherwise it's just abstract theory.
Yes, real-world before and after examples show the system and the user how the abstract information actually applies in reality, which ties perfectly into his final rule for content.
Original value. Because, I mean, if you just define things and summarize them, you're just a textbook.
Exactly.
Schnepphat says a page must offer something unique, like firsthand experience, local knowledge, or expert interpretation. Because otherwise, you are just repeating what the AI has already scraped from 1,000 other sites. And if you were just a parrot, why would the AI cite you?
It wouldn't. Original insight is the currency of the AI era. But don't let that intimidate you. Schnepphat isn't saying you need $1 million university research study. Original value can be as simple as analyzing the most common questions your customer service team gets.
That's smart.
Yeah, or sharing a unique framework you use in your consulting business. You just have to bring a perspective that doesn't exist anywhere else in the machine's training data.
Okay, so let's check our progress. The bot can access the site. The bot can easily extract the text because we put the bottom line up front and use clear headings. But here is the dangerous part about AI. It doesn't have a built-in lie detector.
No, it certainly does not.
Yeah. Right, so in an age where AI can hallucinate an entire fake business, how does a site actually prove it's real, according to Schnepphat? Like, if an AI reads a perfectly formatted, fast-loading page that is actually a complete scam, how does the system know not to recommend it? How do we code for actual credibility?
That is the exact problem Jörg-Owe Schnepphat addresses in his third pillar, which is trust readiness. And this is vital because trust readiness determines whether search systems will actually wager their own reputation on your content.
Okay.
Schnepphat is very clear here. Trust isn't built by making loud, empty claims.
Like writing, we are the #1 service provider in the state.
Exactly. That means absolutely nothing to an AI. Trust is built by visible, verifiable signals of real-world responsibility.
So let's apply this. If you are listening to this right now and you run a local business or an e-commerce store, like open up your website, go to your highest converting page. Are you an anonymous entity or are you proving your identity and credentials? Because Schnepphat says anonymous content is dead in the water for anything involving a commercial decision.
It is a massive risk for the AI. Schnepphat insists you need visible authors with clear roles and expertise. Is there an author bio? Does it list their professional experience, their LinkedIn profile, their certifications?
But it goes beyond just the author to the company itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
An identifiable company must have a real about page. If you are a physical business, you must have a physical address listed. And easy-to-find contact info is mandatory.
Schnepphat actually explicitly states that hiding your phone number or email behind a generic web form damages your credibility severely.
Right, because think about it from the AI's perspective. If a website is giving financial advice or selling a $5,000 service, but there is no phone number, no address, and no clear ownership, recommending that site is a massive liability.
Yeah, transparency is basically a mathematical trust signal, and I love how he extends that to how you prove your claims. Like, he draws a hard line between generic proof and specific proof.
Oh, this is a huge point.
Yeah. He points out that generic testimonials are incredibly weak. If your site just have a quote that says, "Great service, highly recommend, John D," and AI gives that 0 weight. Because anyone can write that. I could have written that myself 5 minutes ago.
Precisely. To build actual algorithmic trust, Schnepphat says you need detailed case studies. A strong case study shows the specific problem the client faced, the process you used to address it, the exact solution implemented, and the verifiable result. That is proof.
Product claims need actual technical specifications, and service claims need documented examples. You basically have to show your work.
Exactly. He also brings up freshness and purpose here, having clear update dates on your content.
But he warns that you can't just run a script that changes the timestamp to today's date and trick the system, right?
Right, the AI models are smarter than that now. They look at the delta, the actual changes in the text. A real update, according to Schneppat, means actually reviewing the content, removing outdated facts, updating old screenshots, and adding new context.
A visible, accurate date creates accountability.
Yes. And finally, the page must have a transparent purpose. If a page pretends to be a neutral educational guide but is actually just a heavily biased affiliate pitch pushing a specific software, the AI will recognize the commercial intent mismatched with the informational format, and it will tank your credibility.
Okay, so the bot gets in, the content is clear, and the site proves it is run by real, accountable humans. We are almost at the finish line. Which brings us to Schneppat's fourth and final pillar, citation readiness.
The final hurdle.
Yeah, and I think this is the true secret weapon of generative engine optimization. Because a page could be highly trusted and beautifully written, but if it lacks precise extractable data, an AI simply cannot quote it.
Right.
Here's where it gets really interesting. I like to think of this like creating perfectly shaped interlocking puzzle pieces. You want puzzle pieces that an AI system can easily pick up and drop right into its generated answer.
That's a phenomenal analogy. You are trying to create these perfect data pieces. And Schneppat outlines a final test for your content here. You have to look at your page and ask yourself, would I trust this specific sentence enough to quote it safely?
Right.
If the information is vague, muddy, or lacks context, an AI cannot use it to construct a factual sentence.
So writing something like prices vary is just totally useless.
Completely useless. Schneppat says precision is paramount. Vague statements are not extractable. If someone asks an AI how much does it cost to redesign a website, and your page just says prices vary, the AI ignores you.
You must provide realistic ranges and explicitly list the factors that push the price up or down.
Exactly. You're handing the AI those exact puzzle pieces. And he also flags dated statistics as a huge liability for citations.
Oh, right, because if you write 70% of businesses use cloud hosting, but you don't provide the year, an AI cannot use that statistic safely.
Yes. It doesn't know if that's cutting-edge data from this year or a defunct survey from 2012. Schneppat insists every stat needs a year or time frame, so the system understands its context.
And what about formatting those pieces? We talked about tables earlier.
Tables are highly citable formats, but Schneppat warns against overloading them. A simple, accurate table comparing 3 clear criteria, say price, storage, and bandwidth, is infinitely better than a massive 50-column spreadsheet crammed onto a web page. The AI needs to quickly map the columns and rows to understand the relationships.
And he applies this need for precision to recommendations as well, doesn't he?
Right.
Like, you can't just say this is the best product.
Right. Generic advice is useless to an LLM trying to answer a nuanced user prompt. Schneppat says you must explain exactly who the recommendation is for and when it applies.
Okay, give me an example.
So instead of saying it's the best, say this specific hosting package is suitable for small business websites with low traffic, but will crash custom e-commerce applications. That level of specificity is exactly what an AI needs to construct a personalized answer for a user.
Okay. We now have this incredibly detailed blueprint from Jörg-Owe Schneppat. Technical, content, trust, and citation readiness. But let's get down to execution. If I'm sitting here looking at my top 50 pages, what is the actual order of operations?
Right. Well, Schneppat lays out a very deliberate, strict 5-step sequence. You do not deviate from this.
Okay, walk me through it.
First, you fix the technical barriers. Second, you improve the main answer and the content structure. Third, you add the trust signals and identity proof. Fourth, you inject the precise, citable information, those perfect puzzle pieces.
And fifth.
Fifth, you improve the reason to click, giving the user a compelling reason to actually visit your site beyond just reading the AI summary.
Wow. It's literally like building a house. You cannot put the roof on before you pour the foundation.
Exactly. Schneppat's logic is bulletproof here. There is absolutely zero benefit in writing beautiful case studies or formatting pricing tables if your page has a restrictive no snippet tag and the AI is legally forbidden from extracting it. You have to follow the sequence.
This framework takes all the abstract anxiety out of AI search and turns it into an actionable, logical to-do list. But I want to land on something really profound that emerges when you look at Schneppat's checklist as a whole.
What's that?
Well, for 20 years, the SEO industry was largely adversarial. It was about tricking machines. We use keyword stuffing, invisible text, and spammy backlink farms to game an algorithm, often resulting in a terrible experience for the actual human reading the page. But if you look at what Schneepat is demanding for GEO, it's the exact opposite.
It is. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the profound takeaway drawn directly from Schneepat's essay is that a mechanical checklist to please an AI algorithm is actually just a framework for radical user empathy.
Oh, wow. I love that phrasing.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. What does the AI want now? It wants pages that load instantly. It wants the answer directly at the top. It wants clear, logical headings. It demands real evidence instead of fake reviews.
And precise, honest information from identifiable, accountable experts.
Exactly. The ultimate realization is that to win over the machines by making pages findable, understandable, trusted, and citable, you are ultimately just building a vastly superior experience for the human reading it.
Optimizing for AI is, finally, just radical user empathy. That is such a fantastic way to look at it. Well, that is a perfect place to wrap up. Thank you for joining us on this breakdown of Jörg-Owe Schneepat's practical GEO checklist. It's time to go audit your site, open those technical doors, and start crafting those citable puzzle pieces. Goodbye for now, and be sure to check out blue3w.com for more resources. We will see you on our next deep dive, where we'll be covering Chapter 7 GEO page template. Stay curious.